Good morning, Uganda. It is time for us to take a look at our GMU agenda. And our first guest today is a very lovely lady, Gertrude Adeka Emojong, who is the communications officer of So Sure reusable sanitary pads. You're very welcome.
Thank you so much, Rowena, for having us here.
Indeed. And I'm glad that you've made time for us, because this is a very, very important topic for us to discuss, especially when it comes to the girl child. Oftentimes, there's a lot of issues, because as we turn into women, a number of things change in our bodies. But real quick, tell me about So Sure. What is So Sure? If someone talked about So Sure, what is that should come to our minds?
So Sure is is a social business that manufactures reusable sanitary pads. We are headquartered in Kampala. We are proudly Ugandan business with our manufacturing plant in Masaka. Basically, it was born out of the need that women and girls need to have affordable menstrual hygiene solutions, because every woman has a right to menstruate with dignity and safely.
So what is it exactly that you offer?
We are more than just a pad making company. We offer a menstrual hygiene solution so that each and every woman and girl can manage her period the way she sees fit, with the comfort that she needs.
So the reusables, how long do they go for? If it's reusable, I mean, one would wonder how hygienic is that? But how long or how easy is it to actually keep them?
Reusables are actually quite easy to keep, and they are very hygienic. Social reusable sanitary pads last for over 1 year, depending on your use and care. And we advise people to use them and care for them the way they would care for their own underwear.
Okay, so they're cotton, or?
They're made from high-tech materials. I know there's a big disconnect from what people know as reusable sanitary pads, because traditionally you would see your grandmother or your auntie in the rural areas making her own sanitary pad out of cloth. But it has been revolutionized, and we're able to harness high technology so that we can give you a modern solution that is comfortable, that is long lasting, that will not leak, that will keep you, that is soft, that will keep you dry all day long.
And comfortable.
Yes. It's very comfortable.
That's very key.
Yes, yeah, comfort is very important for women.
Very key. Now let us look at the International Day of the Girl Child. What is this? What do we understand by this, and what is it about?
The International Day of the Girl Child is a holiday that was sanctioned by the United Nations. It is traditionally celebrated on the 11th of October. And basically, women and girls have unique needs that the United Nations realized, and they needed to see how can they bridge this gap, that they can focus on women's needs and girls' needs, and how can they help girls to harness their full potential. This year the theme is skilling a girl child, because they recognize that when you have skills, you're able to empower yourself, you're able to take yourself to the next level and to live out your full potential. So International Day of the Girl Child simply is bridging that gap, is making sure that each and every girl has a right to education, and that there are no barriers. There are no barriers. For example, menstrual hygiene is a big barrier for girls world over. They realize that when puberty begins, with the onset of puberty comes with their special needs, comes your first menstruation, and girls they don't have access to the information. They don't have. If they do have access to the information, it's shrouded by myths and taboos, and
the inequality.
Yes, the inequality. They're unable to even access a pad or any kind of material that will help them to manage this time of month. So, International Day of the Girl Child seeks to bridge that gap, so that each and every girl is able to manage their own period the way they see fit.
So, before we get into what part you played and all, we'll get into that later. But why should we actually care about menstrual hygiene and management?
Menstrual hygiene management it's a very broad sector, first of all. Menstrual hygiene management is not merely about the materials or the products you use to manage your period, but it is access to information. Do you have the right kind of information? It is, are you able to access a period-friendly toilet, or do you have the right kind of sanitation to manage this time of month? So it is very important for us to acknowledge menstrual hygiene management and work towards it, because there is a gap. There is a gap, and this gap causes girls to miss out on school, because when their period starts, they're unable to manage it, and if they miss out on school, that means their education is suffering. And if their education suffers, they're not going to be able to live out their full potential.
Okay, so what projects could you be a part of as social to make sure that this particular problem is addressed, especially if we're looking at, of course, the International Day of the Girl Child, focusing also on the menstrual hygiene management. These are some of the things that are very key. So many girls have dropped out of school, they have missed out on school, they have been bullied in schools. It's quite tormenting. You know, it's quite a psychological torment, you know, over the years for some of these girls. And some of them now end up studying as older women because now they adjust to the situation. How have you come in as social to make sure this is dealt with?
Firstly, for the International Day of the Girl Child, for the celebrations, which are taking part next week, in Jinja. These are the national celebrations that are going to be hosted by the Ministry of Gender, Labour and Social Development. We are donating 200 menstrual hygiene kits worth over 1 million shillings to the girls that will be gathered there. Beyond that, we offer a product that is long-lasting, it is affordable, it is comfortable, it is leak-proof. And it is readily available nationwide, all over this country. In addition to this menstrual hygiene solution that we offer, we also share our knowledge on menstrual health management, which is broader than just products. It's about the information, the quality of information you have access to. It's about debunking those myths and taboos that hold the girls back.
Very interesting. Now, oftentimes we've seen people come up and talk about the girl child. Of course, very importantly, is this as a problem, you know. So do you have any people you're partnering with and saying, hey, we have long-term projects, or every now and then we come up with projects to ensure that, hey, the girls far and away from Kampala and the outskirts are able to access some of these? Because if they may not afford, we can actually give them something.
We partner with several organizations to do more than, because we believe it's more than just giving you a reusable sanitary pad. It's about empowering you. It's about empowering you through business, innovation and opportunity. So it's not enough to just give you a sanitary pad. It's also about the information and the quality of information you have access to, because information is power. You know, information is power, and once you are informed, you will be empowered, and you'll be able to make the right decisions, and you'll be able to advance yourself and live out your full potential.
Okay. Now, speaking of the International Day for the Girl Child, and you being quite concerned, well, mostly on the hygiene, but let's look at some of the challenges. Have you probably worked or partnered with people? There's this challenge we have of female genital mutilation. Is this something that probably in the future you feel you could involve yourselves with as a sanitary making company?
As a sanitary making company, our primary focus is menstrual health management. For female genital mutilation, I think that would be broader than our scope. And that would be broader than our scope, so there are probably other development partners that can address the issue of female genital mutilation.
Okay. But do you feel like our culture has one way or another affected us, even when we're trying to deal with this problem? For example, if we're looking at the challenge we're having of the menstrual hygiene, could it be some of our cultures really where the girls are not free, they're not open to talk about these things. To get the information is something that is quite difficult as well.
Definitely. Our culture as Ugandans has affected menstrual health management, because it is from the culture that the myths and the taboos arise from. And those myths and taboos, even something as simple as a girl being able to talk to the male relatives, her father, for instance, because culturally it's seen as a taboo. It's even given a derogatory name. We don't discuss those things in public. It's very hush-hush. So when a girl feels that she's unable to discuss this openly, then you have to wonder, where will she get the information? That means she's going to get the information from other sources, and those sources may or may not be correct.
Like from peers.
Yes, from peers, from the media, from cultural leaders, etc. It may or may not be correct. And it's our culture that is actually holding them back. But if we cultivate a culture where a girl feels free to even talk to her male relatives, that fathers and uncles and brothers are also involved in menstrual health management, then that is overcoming a barrier for her. It's overcoming a barrier for her, because the information, and the correct information, will be readily available for her.
Okay. Now, let us look specifically at schools. Do you involve yourself in with schools and try to get out there and talk to the girl child and involve them? Because I don't know if this happens anymore. I don't know if they talk to girls anymore about this.
Schools are very broad, very, very, very broad category.
Do you try and involve? Okay.
Yes. We do go into a couple of the schools and we do talk, but it is mainly the burden of female issues in our education system on senior women teachers, to educate the girls about issues such as menstrual hygiene management.
Interesting. So on 11th did pass, but next week you said we're seeing having our national celebrations of the girl child. Now, what do you expect to be addressed on that particular day?
The Ministry of Gender, Labour and Social Development has a framework which is basically policy, which will advocate for not only the girl child but children's rights in general. So everything begins with policy. So if the policies are in place, then action can follow the policies.
Okay. Moving forward, looking at where we're headed, do you feel like real soon we'll be dealing with this problem?
I beg your pardon?
Real soon, do you feel like this is a challenge or problem that shall be understood and dealt with at a wider level, as a national level?
It will be dealt with. We have to be optimistic. It's good to be optimistic and be positive and upbeat. Yes, it will at some point be dealt with. These are the steps. These are the steps that the country is taking, the steps that the development partners are taking, the steps that the commercial brands are taking. Slowly but surely, we shall get there, and we shall overcome this problem
because it is a very huge problem. Even when we have so many NGOs come up, government initiative, we have now people like you coming in and saying, we'll need to make sure that a problem like this is handled. But how often do we involve, for example, if you get into projects, and do you train, probably if it's the male teachers, how to handle some of these things? Do you get people to work with and address some of these issues? We've seen it. Even the teachers, don't know how to handle a girl that has got into that particular situation. Are you looking at partnering with certain people in those aspects?
We have sensitization programs where we share our knowledge on menstrual health management. With the teachers and the male teachers, it really goes back to our culture as Ugandans. It really goes back to our culture, and there's several issues. Like I mentioned earlier, menstrual health management is broad. It's a broad sector. It's more than just the products. It's information, it's sanitation, it's personal hygiene. So it's really a broad sector, and to address all those issues would need a targeted approach.
Okay, so social your products, that, you know, looking at the reusable sanitary, how has it been taken on really by the public or the target audience, of course, the women?
It has been well received by the public because it addresses a gap. It addresses a gap where women need a long-lasting, safe, and comfortable solution to their menstruation. So it has been addressed. So SoSure addresses that gap. It bridges that gap that you're able to. It's an investment for a woman. A reusable sanitary pad is more than just a pad. It's an investment. It's something you buy, you use it for a long time. I like to say it's the gift that keeps on giving. It's a pad that keeps on giving. Yeah. And you don't run into the issues of how do I dispose of it, you know, where will it land up, because it's something you can use, you can keep it, use it again, and use it over and over and over again until you feel that, okay, it's time for me
to get
another one. Yeah.
That's very interesting, really. But then again, let me ask you this particular question. Where is your target, though? Has it been well received away from the urban sort of setting?
Menstruation is something that happens to every woman and girl.
Yes.
So
but
it
they're
is
reusable.
yes, it is for everybody who has
because some people
a
might
period.
think, some people have different, you know, perception of certain things. So I don't know if it being reusable, has it been a challenge to address? Probably has it been a challenge, you know, taking it on to the different parts of the country, and people saying, oh, okay, that's a brilliant idea. Because some people will tell you, I've had someone who said, how am I sure? You know? But have you found challenges addressing the positives or the good that come with a reusable sanitary?
Mostly it's just really mindset, because you know, traditionally people are used to seeing disposable, and we've been raised with that culture that when you start menstruation, it's a disposable, that's the go-to solution.
And sometimes people don't like to talk about it.
Yeah, but the menstrual products range is wide. It's beyond reusable sanitary pads. There are tampons, there are disposable tampons,
cups.
there are menstrual cups, you know, there are even period panties. So it is wide, and it is just bringing that into people's minds, into their forefront, that there are other solutions. There's a wide range for you to choose from.
Indeed, very true. Well, lastly, in regards to this, Gertrude, give us a last remark in regards to SoSure and also the International Day for the Girl Child. We are all a product of a missed period. So menstruation is something that should be dear to all of us. It's something that should be close to our hearts, because when we bridge this gap for each and every woman and girl, we are able to empower them, and when they're empowered, they're able to fulfill their potential. So let's all join the reusable sanitary pad revolution. Let's all do our part to address menstrual hygiene management. I like that you said we're all a product of a missed period. And these are things people don't like to talk about. Most people feel shy away, really. I think that's where our problem is. Mothers are shying away. Teachers are shying away. The elders in the community are shying away about talking about these things, and it is very, very sad. I am glad that you're here with us. This is something that for me, I'm like, oh really, I need to see how this works out. I need to see how this, I'm going to try out what you got me. But GMU Agenda, don't go away. We have a lot more in store for you. Think about the girl child. Think about the menstrual hygiene management, and these are some of the things that have been talked about. Like she's mentioned, they have the reusable sanitary towels or pads. However, there's so many that are a wide range, you know, what you can pick from and choose from, and the world is changing. Our mindset should change as well. Don't go away. Good morning, Uganda. Thank you, my dear.